So that is what is indicated here. If at all by knowingly or unknowingly, if a devotee associates with such kind of person, so they should take bath immediately to get rid of that offense. Prabhupada writes in the last paragraph, people jeer at Krishna because they are envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Their destiny is certainly to take birth after birth in the species of atheistic and demonic life. Perpetually, their real knowledge will remain under delusion, and gradually they will regress to the darkest region of creation. So, this will be the destiny of such kind of people who deride the form of Supreme Lord when he appears in the human species and try to achieve perfection by rendering the so-called processes of karma, jnana, bhakti, etc. So this is how Lord Krishna in the first two verses, 11 and 12, he talks about those people who do not worship him because they have different understandings. But those people who accept Krishna and Rama, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, being situated themselves in the mode of goodness, they actually worship the Supreme Lord with undeviated attention. Those who have understood the knowledge that is mentioned in the previous 7 verses from 4 to 10, and who also accept Lord Krishna and Rama as the Supreme Lords, such kind of people actually perform Ananya Bhakti. That is mentioned in the next 3 verses, 13, 14, 13, 14 about Ananya Bhakti and 15 about different variety of Bhakti. Those who also accept Lord in different forms. So, but some who attain greatness by unpredictable mercy of my devotees attain the nature of the Devas. The nature of Devas indicates a mode of goodness. In the previous verse, it was mentioned that nature of Rakshasa Prakriti and Asuri Prakriti. Rakshasa Prakriti is ignorance, Asuri Prakriti is passion, and Devim Prakriti is goodness, rather than Asuras or Rakshasas. And worship me in my human-like form. That is indicated here. Such kind of people are called by Lord Krishna as Mahatmas. Mahatmanastu mam partha daivim prakrutimāśrita bhajanti ananya manaso jnatva bhutadim avyayam.
O son of Pritha, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible.
So here Lord Krishna is talking that those people who are situated in mode of goodness are, as Prabhupada indicates, that Devim Prakriti means my transcendental potency. Indirectly, Lord Prabhupada says that it is Yogamaya potency. Those people who are situated in Yogamaya, they are called as Mahatmas. And that Mahatmas, Bhajanti Ananya Manaso, they worship me with Anya Manaso. Their mind does not look here and there. They are like Vyavasayatmika Buddhi. They are focused upon worshipping Lord Krishna, Lord Ram. Because they know that Bhuta Adim, I am the source of all the living entities, from dry grass to Lord Brahma. And I am eternal. Though I am in my two-handed human-like form, but I am eternal. The Supreme Personality of God is eternally situated in the spiritual world. So one who knows this knowledge, only they will worship me with undeviated devotional service. So that person is called as Mahatma. So Prabhupada writes the definition of Mahatma in the purport. So Mahatma is that he is always situated in the divine nature. And the next paragraph Prabhupada writes, when one is promoted in this way, by surrendering to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one attains to the stage of great soul or Mahatma. The Mahatma does not divert his attention to anything outside Krishna because he knows perfectly well that Krishna is the original Supreme Person, the cause of all causes. There is no doubt about it. Such a Mahatma or great soul develops thorough association with other Mahatmas or pure devotees. Pure devotees are not even attracted by Krishna's other features, such as 400 Mahavishnu. They are simply attracted by the two armed form of Krishna. They are not attracted to other features of Krishna, nor are they concerned with any form of demigod or human being. They meditate only upon Krishna in Krishna consciousness. They are always engaged in the unswavering service of Lord in Krishna consciousness. So this is a Prabhupada saying that. So the Mahatmas are those only who are always in Krishna consciousness, always constantly thinking about Krishna and serving Krishna. Not even the 400 form of Vaikuntha. So I mean, this is like Gaudiya Vaishnava way of explaining. Those who know me as Parabrahman in human form, whose minds are engaged, whose minds are enlarged with faith in me, Mahatmana, through devotee association and no taste for my other form, such as Vishwarupa, are actually called as Mahatma. Such a person, such a Mahatma, having taken shelter of my spiritual Swarupa, accepting with conviction that I, with human form, am the cause of all living beings, including Brahma and Shiva, and that I am also eternal, continuously serves me. Bhajanti Ananya Manaso. Their consciousness is deeply absorbed in me, in my human form alone. That's why that is called Ananya Manasa. So this is how that devotee continuously serves the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So indirectly, Acharyas are indicating that by understanding my powers that have been described in the previous verses, Maya tatam idam sarvam jagad avyakta murtina masani sarvabhutani nacham nachaham teshu avasita. Like that verses, Paschame Yoga Maishwaram. All these verses who understands clearly, who understand that my form, the 200 form is the source of that Vishnu who creates, maintains and annihilates the entire universes. And hence they know that I, Krishna in my human form, is the cause of all causes and the cause of all unlimited bodies starting with Brahma in this material world. They know that I am indestructible since I have the body of Satchidananda. So those people who know me in these two features, as Lord Krishna indicated as in this verse, Bhutadim and Avayam. Bhutadim and Avayam, the two words mentioned here. So one who knows these two things, actually, the Bhutadim and Avayam, one who knows these two things, they actually, they know that I am the indestructible since I have a body of Sachidananda. For understanding that I am worthy of worship, they should have at least this much knowledge of me. In order to become my devotees, they should know at least these two features of mine, that I am Bhutadi, I am the source of everything, everyone, including Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva in this world, and I am eternal, I am Avyaya. So one who has this knowledge, as it is indicated in this chapter, the previous verses, a person becomes qualified to worship me with Ananya Cheta, with undeviated consciousness. Knowing this, Jnatva, Bhutadim Avayam, they worship me. It should be understood that this bhakti, which is not dependent on karma, jnana, which aim at realization of this, which aim at the realization of Atma. The karma and jnana are aiming at Atma jnana, but bhakti aims at Bhagavad jnana, and which is exclusively concentrated about Supreme Lord, which is best of all, which is king of all knowledge, which is king of all secrets. So like that, Lord Krishna is establishing here, saying that the knowledge which I have spoken in the previous verses of this chapter indicates that I am Bhuta Adi. I am the source of all the living entities, all the universes. Even I am the source of the 400 Vishnu form, Mahapurusha. And I am the, though I am a human being in 200 form, but I am eternal. One who knows this, Jnatva, one who knows this knowledge of me, Bhajanti Ananya Manaso. They worship me with Ananya Manasa, with the mind undeviated to by karma or jnana or any other processes. Only in devotional service they always worship me. So now Arjuna asks a question. So in the last verse, it was mentioned that they worship me. So what type of worship do they perform? Two verses now explain their devotional processes. Now verse 14, it talks about Ananya Bhakti. Verse 15 talks about the so-called Bhakti. Bhakti performed by other people who are also devotees. Satam kirtayanto mam yatantascha dృఢవ్రత namastantascha mam bhaktya nityayukta upasate.
Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me, these great souls perpetually worship me with devotion.
So this verse explains the meaning of bhajanti ananya manaso. Ananya bhajan, that means ananya bhakti. What are the main activities of those people who are performing ananya bhakti? So what are the activities? Satatam kirtayanto mam. They do kirtan always 24 hours a day. Yatantascha. They also endeavor to do other activities of the bhakti, such as Shravanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam, etc. All other processes are also they perform. Basically, they engage in the Navavidha Bhakti 24 hours a day. How? Drudha Vrata. They perform this Vrata of performing nine processes of Bhakti with determination, with concentration, with attachment, intense attachment, which also include that as Namantascha, visiting temples and offering obeisances and offering prayers and doing deity worship, etc., etc., etc. Because Mam Bhaktya, they have become my devotees, and they also Mam Bhaktya Upasate, they worship me, becoming my devotees, because they cultivate one desire, that is Nitya Yukta. They wanted to become my eternal associates in my spiritual abode. With that desire, they execute all these different variety of activities of devotional service. Basically, the Navavidha Bhakti in its different features, as Rupa Goswami mentions in Nectar of Devotion, the 64 activities of Bhakti. So all those activities they perform only for the purpose of becoming Nitya Yukta, an eternal associate of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his eternal abode. Upasate. They worship me by all these variety of processes, such as Kirtanam, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Mandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. The 9 things they perform. So that is the activity of a Ananya Bhakta. So here it is mentioned here, you see, Lord Krishna, for that some people are chanting, some people are hearing, some people are speaking, and some people are doing deity worship, some people are offering obeisances. Devotees of the Lord are constantly chanting Krishna's name, discussing Krishna's glories, offering obeisances to Krishna, and worshipping Krishna. So these are the variety of activities that my Ananya Bhaktas perform. At all times, without regard for purity of time and place, they glorify me. They worship me by loudly chanting my names, qualities, and activities. Going to temple, they fall down like rods on the dusty earth and offer obeisances. Cha includes other process, including such as hearing, praying, and deity worship, etc. So how they execute all these activities? Diligently, they discern the real nature of my form and qualities along with other devotees. They etanta. They always associate with other my devotees and they try to understand about my true nature and execute in various activities. They follow strict vows such as Ekadashi, Janmashtami, and other sacred days without fail. They desire because they do all these things because they desire an eternal relationship with me in the future in my spiritual abode, Nitya Yukta, in one of the 4 higher rasas, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. Because they desire to become Lord's eternal associate in one of these 4 rasas, they execute all the variety of activities of bhakti, which primarily called as Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam, and Padasevanam, etc. So with eagerness, they execute all those activities. So this is how Lord Krishna distinguishes those who are Shradadana and those who are Ashradadana. The Ashradadana take birth again and again in this world. Shraddadana perform Ananya Bhakti and they'll come to my spiritual abode. So, any question in these 4 verses?
Hare
Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji.
I have a question. In this 9.14, there is still a desire, right? It is not like full surrender, like letting the Lord do as He wishes with them. The desire is still existing, no?
See, we have to understand whether the desire is a material desire or a spiritual desire. Bhakti never recommends to have material desires, but Bhakti always recommends to have spiritual desire. Here the word.
There are types of bhaktas who don't desire anything. They let Lord take the call.
No, not like that.
No desire.
Devotees
Like,
can desire the way one want to serve, the way one want to serve the Lord. That can be desired by a devotee. They don't desire means they don't desire any material profit, any material gain. That kind of desires they don't cultivate.
But they are doing with the desire to be with Him.
Yeah, one should do with the desire that I want to go back home, back to Godhead, and I want to serve the Supreme Lord either Dasya Rasa or Sakya Rasa or Vasalya Rasa or Madhurya Rasa. That desire is the, what is can say, free will of the Jiva. The free will should be used in such kind of activities. So otherwise Lord does not say. If we don't decide that the way in which way we want to serve the Lord, then if Lord only should tell me, then Lord will never tell that. Lord wants us to choose in which way we want to serve Him.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, here it is in 11th verse. What the type of Mudha represent? In the way it was previously described in 7.15. So out of the 4, who is this Mudha?
Okay. No, here Lord Krishna is in general is saying that. So those people who do not accept whatever is being spoken in the previous verses, and they try to follow some so-called process called karma, jnana or bhakti according to their own whimsical ways. That kind of person is called Muda, means here the foolish person who is not in knowledge. Basically, this person is referring to that Ashtrada Dana mentioned in the 3rd verse.
Okay.
Yeah. So this Muda can include all the 4 kind of people mentioned in the 7th chapter also. All the 4 people who deride the Supreme Lord.
Yes, bro.
Anyone else?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
In the 11th verse, you mentioned that those devotees, mixed devotees, they are also considered as a mogasha, means that devotional service also does not bear any result. So, if they are performing devotional service, then they should generate some bhakti sukriti, or which can help them to elevate. Then what is the reason that they do not bear any result?
No, not like that. I just briefly mentioned the examples that Chaitanya Charitamrita, there are many examples that some of the devotees during that time, they would consider Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to be Lord, and they would say that Nityananda is not Lord. Nityananda Prabhu is not Lord, he is simply Avaduta, is acting weirdly. They would actually disrespect Nityananda Prabhu. Such kind of people actually performed an offense against Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also. And some people would consider Nityananda Prabhu to be Lord, and they would consider Chaitanya Prabhu to be ordinary man. And there are many statements in Chaitanya Charitamrita saying that those who consider only one among the two as the Supreme Lord, they are actually performing offense at the lotus feet of both. Such kind of people should be kept at a far distance. The same way, if the people who consider Lord Vishnu to be Lord and Krishna to be human, or Rama to be human, or Vamana to be human, are they really doing bhakti? Though externally their activities may be bhakti activities. If somebody says that I only worship Lord Vishnu, I don't worship Krishna or Rama. Krishna or Rama are only human beings. It is Vishnu who is Lord, who never appears in this world. If somebody says like that, do you accept them to be devotees?
No.
Though apparently they may be performing devotional activities externally, but within their heart they have that kind of conceptions. So from that point of view, Lord says this verse.
So in future also they don't get chance to perform or elevate themselves.
If they come in the association of devotees, then by getting right understanding, they may elevate themselves. If they don't clarify their doubts, if they don't get right understanding, they will not perfect. They may continue to that kind of devotional service. Bahujanma yedikari Shravana Kirtan Tabutan Napai. Chaitanya said that even though if they may perform hundreds of lifetimes Shravana and Kirtan, but they will never get the shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna with such kind of impure understandings.
So this verse also applies to the to the devotees in one pastime where Chaitanya there was one devotee was constantly chanting the Lord name, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu completely ignored him. So are they also come in this category, those type of devotees?
Yeah, they are also falls in this category. Whoever has improper understanding of Bhagavan, so all those things can be considered to be this category in that way.
So it is utmost important that we have a correct understanding of the Bhagavan.
Yes, that's what is mentioned, na? Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tatvataha. One should know about the Supreme Lord in tatvataha, in proper understanding. Such kind of people only tattva deha punarjanma naiti mamedi sarjuna. They only will go back to Godhead after leaving this body. Others will continue to stay in this world. That's why if you see from the 7th chapter onwards, Lord Krishna keep on repeating about this concept. Have proper understanding, have faith. Don't consider me, though in human form, to be ordinary human being. So like that. There are some people who consider only Brahman to be everything, the unmanifest form. Even Vaikuntha, Lord of Vaikuntha also they don't consider. So such kind of people have no hope. So, and this verse is clearly indicating that those who consider me to be an ordinary human being, when I appear in the form of humans as Krishna or Rama, they have no hope. So, in that way, Lord Krishna indicates.
Okay.
Okay. Anyone else has any question? Otherwise, we'll go ahead. So, these 4 verses are actually very important verses, which are in connection to the knowledge which Lord Krishna mentioned in the previous 7 verses. So, that knowledge should be understood, and also this knowledge which is mentioned in the next 2 verses, 11 and 12, also should be understood. So, though Bhagavad Gita talks about Lord Vishnu, but Krishna is the source of that Vishnu, and hence Krishna's position is much superior than Vishnu. So that understanding should be there, and whoever has that understanding, they will perform Ananya Bhakti, which consists of Shravanam, Kirtanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. All these 9 Ayangas of Bhakti are indicated in this 14th verse. So this verse is the definition of Bhakti. What are the activities of Bhakti? What are the activities of that person who is mentioned in the 13th verse? Bhajanti ananya manaso. Whoever does performs ananya bhajan, their activities are mentioned in this verse. Satatam kirtayanto mam. They do all these 9 activities satatam, always. For what purpose? Nitya yukta. They want to become an eternal associate of Supreme Personality of Godhead. So with that desire in the heart, we should all perform all these 9 activities of bhakti. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. Iti Pumsharpita Vishnu Bhakti Chain Navalakshanam. Kriyate Bhagavati Adya Tadmanne Gaditam Uttamam. So Prahlad Maharaj says that one who understands these 9 things and execute these 9 things is in perfect knowledge. That knowledge should be considered to be best of all types of knowledges. So that is the understanding of Mahajanas. So now the subject matter is going into in different direction. So these are Ananda Bhaktas, but there are some people of lower understanding. They try to worship the Supreme Lord in different other ways. So they are also mentioned in the next set of verses. Having spoken of the devotees known as Mahatmas, who have a predominance of pure bhakti in the form of chanting and other process such as Shravanam, Varchanam, Vandanam, etc., and who are fixed on the pure form of the Supreme Lord, Shamasundara Krishna, etc. Now Lord Krishna speaks of other devotees who have a predominance of jnana. These are devotees but predominance of jnana with process of bhakti such as chanting as secondary actions. So they are called as indirect worshippers. So they fall in 3 categories. Some of them are Ekatvena, some of them are the worshippers of the Vishwatomukha, some of them are the worshippers of Prutatvena. So some worship Ekatva, who consider themselves equal with the Brahman. So equal with the Lord. They consider they don't consider any difference between themselves and the Supreme Lord. They are called Ekatva. And some of them are worshipping Virat Rupa as the Supreme Lord, Vishwatomukam. And some worship the different devatas. So some worship different devatas as their bona fide representative of the Supreme Lord. Some worship them as entirely separate. And those 2 kinds of people are referred in the next set of verses. Ekatva in 15, Vishwatomukam in 16 to 19, and Prutaktva in 20 to 25. So these 3 different people are indirectly worshipping me. So that is mentioned in these verses. So basically Lord Krishna is talking in the section 11 to 25. Basically, those people who don't worship me at all, that is 11, 12. And those people who worship me only, that is 13, 14. And those people who worship me in my different features, Ekatva in 15, universal form in 16 to 19, and the form of different devatas 20 to 25. Now the Lord shows 3 other types of devotees who have not been mentioned previously, who are actually inferior to the previously mentioned ones. Jnana yajnena chapyanne yajante mamupasate ekatvena prutatvena bahuda vishwatomukam.
Others who engage in sacrifice by cultivation of knowledge worship the Supreme Lord as the one without a second, as diverse in many and in the universal form.
So there are 3 types of people who worship me in 3 different ways. Some people worship me as Ekatva, some people worship me as Prutaktva, some people worship me as Vishwato Mukam by following variety of methods. So Prabhupada writes in the Purport, there are numbers mentioned 1, 2, 3, just before line before that. But there are others who are still lower, and these are divided into 3 categories. He who worships himself as one with the Supreme Lord, he who concocts some form of the Supreme Lord and worships that with the different devatas. And third one is you who accept the universal form, the Vishwarupa of the Supreme Personality of God and worships that. Out of the above 3, the lowest, those who worship themselves as the Supreme Lord, they are actually lowest, thinking themselves to be monis, are the most prominent, are the most predominant. Such people think themselves to be the Supreme Lord, and in this mentality they worship themselves. This is also a type of God worship, for they can understand that they are not the material body, but are actually the spirit soul. At least such sense is prominent there in them. Generally, the impersonalists worship the Supreme Lord in this way. Now, the second category. The second class includes the worshippers of the Devatas, those who by imagination consider any form to be the form of Supreme Lord. They see the different Devatas as Supreme Lord and then worship them. This is also like of an acceptable way. And the third class includes those who cannot conceive of anything beyond the manifestation of this material universe. They consider the universe to be supreme organism or entity and worship that. The universe is also a form of the Supreme Lord. So there are the three different forms in which different people worship the Supreme Lord in different ways. Some people see the Supreme Lord as one with them, thus they worship the impersonal form. And some people see different devatas as the Supreme Lord and they worship them. And there are third category of people who worship the entire universe as the Supreme Lord. But these three in one way are okay. By good fortune, when they come in the association devotees, when they do bhakti in more maturity, they eventually get perfection, they attain impersonal liberation. Because their worship is not direct to worship of the Supreme Lord in his personal manifestation, either Krishna, Rama, or Lord Vishnu. So they will not get mukti in Vaikuntha, but they get mukti in Brahman. They get impersonal liberation. So that is possible for these three category of people. So that is being mentioned in this verse. Apart from the devotees mentioned in the previous verse, there are others who worship me through Jnana Yajna and also using the devotional process such as singing. They worship me who am actually one Virat. This is Ekatva worship. But who am situated separately with material forms consisting of Pradhana, Mahatattva and other elements. This is called Prutaktva. And I am situated in the form of Devatas such as Indra, that is Vishwatomukam, by many methods. So either they worship me as Ekatva, the one Virat, or they worship me in my different manifestation in the universe, that is Prutaktva, or they worship me as the different devatas who are there in the universal form by following various methods. He remains as one with his spiritual or material energies, but as gross universe. They worship me in order to realize this conception. So this verse is basically talking about Ekatva people, the worship of Ekatva. Basically, they who try to see the Supreme Lord in one feature, either the gross universal form or the subtle universal form or the impersonal Brahman. In one of these three features, they try to worship the Supreme Lord and attain Ekatva with the Supreme Lord, attain impersonal liberation with the Supreme Lord. But they are only worshipping the Supreme Lord in his different manifestations. So this kind of worship is actually accepted by the Supreme Lord and all the acharyas. And the acharya say that such kind of a person will also get impersonal liberation. Because they are only worshipping the Supreme Lord, they are not worshipping something else, but in a different manifestation. So now Arjuna says that how one can worship you as Vishwarupa in many ways. In 4 verses, Lord Krishna shows how he is situated in the form of the universe, Vishwatomukam. So in the previous verse, a brief mention about Ekatva. Now in the next 4 verses, 16, 17, 18, 19, Lord Krishna talks about the worship of Vishwatomukam, his universal form. Seeing all the devatas and all the things that are there in the entire universe in that one universal form, some people worship him. That worship also will give them liberation, because they are actually seeing everything in this world as non-different from Supreme Lord. But they are not worshipping the Supreme Lord in his personal form as Krishna, Rama or Vishnu. So because of that, they will only get impersonal liberation. So that is indicated in these next 4 verses. aham kratur aham yajna, swadaham aham aushadam, mantroham aham evajya, aham agnir aham hutam.
But it is I who am the ritual, I the sacrifice, the offering to the ancestors, the healing hub, the transcendental chant. I am the butter and the fire and the offering.
So this verse basically talks about different yajnas and different things that are being used in the performance of different yajnas. So some people see the yajna is Lord, the ingredients used in yajna are Lord, the performance of yajna is also Lord. So they don't see anything separate from the Supreme Lord, but they perform this kind of worship, the worship of the Vishwatamukam. So Prabhupada writes in the purport in the last 4 lines, he says that, in other words, the Vedic sacrifices recommended in the Karmakanda division of the Vedas are in total also Krishna. Or in other words, those who are engaged in rendering devotional service unto Krishna are to be understood to have performed all the sacrifices recommended in the Vedas. So yeah, these people who are lesser consciousness, they are worshipping the Supreme Lord by performing yajna, by seeing yajna with the Lord, by seeing all the ingredients that are used in the yajna with the Lord. So their worship is also accepted and they will be given impersonal liberation. So that is indicated here. So what are the different things used in the yajna? That is mentioned in this verse with different words. So they are the different words used in this verse. Kratu refers to the Vedic Shrauta sacrifices such as Jyotishtoma. Yajna refers to the Vishwadeva sacrifices of the Shrutis. So Kratu refers to all the variety of yajna that are mentioned in the Shrutis, and different yajnas are different sacrifices that are mentioned in the Smritis. And there is another understanding also. Kratu refers to the yajna, that sacrifice in which there is animal killing. Yajna refers to that kind of sacrifice in which there is no animal killing. Swada refers to the Shraddha rites that are offered to the Pitrus. Aushadha refers to the medicine or food coming from herbs which are used in the yajna. Mantras refers to, these are basically all the ingredients, all the food grains, all the wood, they are all called as Aushadha. The mantras uttered in offering oblations to devatas, idam indraya swaha, idam nama, idam chandraya swaha, idam nama, all the mantras. Ajya, the substance for offering such as ghee. Ghee is offered into the fire, that is called ajya. The fire itself, Agni, used for sacrifice are of various types of Ahvaniya fires. They are also the Supreme Lord. Huta, Aham Hutam, means the act of offering oblations. I am situated at the soul of all those things. That's what Lord Krishna indicating through this verse. I am only situated in all these things that are used in an yajna. So Lord Krishna basically telling that is connection with everything that is there in the universe. And if a person sees Lord in everything in this universe, he is also worshipping the Supreme Lord. That is also accepted. In the next verse, Lord Krishna talks about little more details. Pitahamasya jagato mata data pitamaha vedyam pavitram onkara ruksama yajurevacha.
I am the father of this universe, the mother, the support and the grand desire. I am the object of knowledge